Hello everyone, welcome to Science Prodigy. Today we will be starting the chapter Our Universe of class 8. Okay, so before we begin, let us first of all know that how the universe started. That is how the universe, what is the origin of the universe, the beginning of the universe. So it is said that something around a time span, something around 13.7 billion years ago, that is for many billion years ago back, it was actually seen that there was a very highly condensed, that is a very highly concentrated mass was present in the universe. And this mass was where the entire universe was actually concentrated. So at a certain point of time, it so happened around few billion years back that this condensed mass actually exploded off, and every matter that was present inside this condensed mass actually flew apart to different other places, and that became the origin of the universe. This condensed mass, which actually split out to different certain places after the explosion, it actually created the origin of the universe. Okay, so this is often known as the Big Bang theory. Now the basic part of science, the branch of science which deals with the study of space or the study of the universe, is actually known as astronomy, and the scientists who actually study the space, the celestial bodies and everything which is present in the space are known as astronomers. Now because we know that the universe is vast, it is really very huge, we cannot actually measure the distances in the universe in certain small units of length. That is, it is not possible to measure the distances in such a vast space in some units like meter or something like that. So the unit which is used for measuring the distances in the universe is light year. Okay, so a light year is used when you are trying to define the distance between two stars, the distance between two planets. When we talk about the distance of the earth from the sun, it is always expressed in light years because it is a very big quantity of unit, very big unit, and so expressing it in light years becomes a suitable way. Now the value of light year, as I have already written, as you can see, 1 light year is 9.46 into 10 to the power 12 kilometers. So you can actually imagine how big unit it is, that is, it is 10 to the power 12 times of kilometers, so it is a huge distance. Now the scientists have also been predicting that the universe is ever expanding, it is always expanding, it does not have a constant size that this is the length of the universe. It is already said that it stretches beyond infinity, but at the same time a star observed from the telescope, if you see that this is the distance of the star, after a few years, that is a few 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you will find that the distance is more, because the universe is expanding, and it has been proven that every object is also moving far away from us. That is, the celestial bodies are still moving far away from us because the universe is always expanding. So that is why the most preferred unit used for measurements in the universe, in the study of space, is always a light year. Now in space, what are the things that are present in space? We talk about planets. Planets are present, and most importantly stars and the galaxies. Now there are billions and billions of stars present in the universe, and all these billions of stars combined together with several other planets and other celestial bodies constitute the galaxy. So I repeat, what is a galaxy? A galaxy consists of billions of stars combined with several other celestial bodies as well. That is, when we talk about our own solar system, our own solar system is a part of one galaxy, and I hope you all know it, that our solar system is a part of the Milky Way galaxy, also known as the Akash Ganga in Hindi. So let's go into more deeper parts. So when we see the stars are nothing but massive spheres which are constituted of hydrogen nuclei as well as helium nuclei. And the best part is, when we see that these are the shining stars, it is only because they have nuclear fusion reactions taking place. Like most probably in class 10 you have your first intro of what is the nuclear fission reaction, what is a nuclear fusion reaction. The nuclear fusion reaction, when I say nuclear fusion, that means two certain atoms will be fusing together, will be joining together to undergo the nuclear fusion reaction, which generally takes place at a very high temperature, which is of the order of 10 to the power 6 Kelvin and something like that. So when we see the massive stars, they are nothing but their entire constitution is the hydrogen and the helium nuclei. But why are these stars always shining? They are shining because there is a constant nuclear fusion reaction taking place, where two hydrogen atoms combine together at a very high temperature to produce a single helium nuclei, and as a result of that enormous amount, okay, so as a result of that enormous huge amounts of energy in the form of heat and light is released, and that is why the stars appear to be so much shining and so much glowing. Although the stars are so much far away from us, so many light years away from us, but even then when we look at the night sky, they appear so much bright because this nuclear fusion reaction taking place at the surface of the stars produces so much amount of light and heat that even though they are so far, they still appear shining. The most closest star for all of us is the sun. For the earth and every planet in the solar system, the most closest star which can be observed so much more prominently is the sun. Okay, that is why you can see that it can actually lighten up the entire earth during the daytime. Means it is having it, despite being so much far away from us, it actually lightens all of us. So that is the basis of how strong and how much amount of energy is being produced in a nuclear fusion. I hope you can actually visualize that. Now the next thing is the constellations. Now the best part about constellations is that every star is always observed to have a fixed position with respect to its neighboring stars. That is, this star is having a fixed position with respect to its stars, and in this way a group of stars is known as a constellation. When I say a group of stars is known as a constellation, provided they are arranged in a definite pattern. And what we do is we actually join this particular stars which are present at a fixed position with respect to each other through certain lines. And the moment we join all these stars, it is found that they take the shape, and the interesting fact is it is found that they take the shape of an animal or they take the shape of an object with which we are very much familiar, and as a result these constitutions and constellations are named as well, because this arrangement of stars, this fixed arrangements of stars after getting joined, which resemble maybe a particular object or a particular animal, gets its name. Okay, like when we say the Ursa Major, so this is the great bear. Why great bear? Because it looks like a great bear after getting joined. So that is the most interesting fact about constellations. Till date there are 88 constellations that have been discovered, And the most important the most important constellations which you are supposed to know, I have listed them down. They are very interesting. You can go to Google, actually search them out, that how unique they look like. Okay, so if I get time, I'll also post it in between only, so that you can actually see how the Great Bear, the Little Bear, they actually look like. And it is so interesting when we see such an arrangement of the stars. I have written down some important ones. You can go check them out on Google, or I'll also ensure to put a few of them, the pictures of a few of them. That is the first one, that is the Ursa Major. So it's the Great Bear. This constellation, when we join all the stars in a specific way, it looks like a Great Bear. Then the next one is Ursa Minor, or the Little Bear in Hindi. It is also known as the Laghu Saptarishi. Then there are several other constellations such as the Orion, the most common one which you must have heard about, Scorpio, Leo and Sagittarius. So these are certain most talked about constellations because of their unique arrangement of the stars. Okay, and these are the only ones which you should know, which you should remember, and whenever it is asked in exam, you can actually write them down as an example when you are asked to write the example of a few constellations. Now next is the sun and the solar system. Like we all know that the sun is also a star which is just at the center of the solar system, and we see that there are 8 planets that are constantly revolving around the sun in specific circular paths, and these specific circular paths are known as orbits. Now one more thing I forgot to mention about constellations. The best part about constellation is that just if you watch the constellations on one particular night, they actually appear 4 minutes earlier in the night sky as compared to the previous day. That is, on this day, if you get to see this constellation at a certain time, the next day be sure that the constellation will be observed on the same night sky but 4 minutes earlier. So that's also an interesting fact. So I just mentioned it for your knowledge. And then, as I was talking about the solar system, the planets revolve around the sun in specific circular paths known as the orbit. Okay. Now moving to the next part. Now moving towards the sun is a middle-aged star, not very old nor very new, but it is a middle-aged star and it is medium sized as compared to the other stars. Then why does the sun appear so huge to all of us as compared to the other stars which appear so tiny? Means this question is often asked and you should know the reason very well as well. Okay, so the question, I am repeating this, that why does the sun appear so large to us as compared to the other stars, though the sun is not as large as the other stars? That is, in short, why is the sun so large? Why are the other stars so short? Though it is said that the sun is not as big as several other stars. Okay, so I hope you get the question. Now the most important reason is the distance. Okay, that's the ultimate answer. The most important reason is the distance. The sun is at the center of the solar system, and the sun is the closest star for people living on Earth. So as a result, being a part of the solar system, the sun, which is so much closer to us, appears bigger in size as compared to the other stars, though the other stars may be actually bigger in size than the sun. The only factor is the distance. The sun is a few light years away from us, but the other stars are very much away from us, and that's the main reason why the stars appear so small at the night sky and why the sun appears so big as compared to the other stars. So I hope you understood the point. Now moving forward to the sun. if we go for the actual constitution of the sun is composed of hydrogen, helium and various other hot gases, because the sun, if you see at the surface of the sun, it is constantly boiling off. There is so much of hot, and it is actually fueled up mainly by the nuclear fusion reactions taking place at the surface of the sun. It is actually burning at its surface. That is why it can actually glow so brightly, because if you see the surface layer of the sun, it is actually just burning. It is just having certain extremely burning hot gases, and it is having a very high temperature maintained in it, and that is why even though it is a few light years away from us, it provides us so much of light, okay, only because it is fueled up by so much of nuclear reactions. Now the most important thing is the sun is having 6 layers, and I can assure you that you should know what are the 6 layers of the sun. So I have actually mentioned them down, you can note them down as well. In the interior, that is at the utmost interior, that is at the center of the sun, it starts with the core of the sun, and then we move to the radiative zone. So starting from the core, then it is the radiative zone, and then it is the convection zone, where it is able to go for convection currents that are set up to pass the gases out. And then comes the photosphere, which emits the light rays which we see, then the chromosphere, and finally the outermost part of the sun is known as the corona. So if we see the 6 regions of the sun, from the interior to the exterior to the outermost part, at the extremist interior there is the core, then comes the radiative zone, then comes the convection zone, then the photosphere, chromosphere and the corona. So now when we observe a solar eclipse taking place, the most interesting observation of a solar eclipse is that the entire moon has actually covered the sun. It appears that the entire moon has actually covered the sun. But there is a certain observation that just at the surroundings, at the surface, at the corners, that is the rim of the sun, there is a red rim of the sun that is observed. Even though the sun is totally covered by the moon, there is a red rim that is observed around the sun, and this red rim is nothing but the light rays which are coming from the chromosphere, because all the light rays that were emerging out from the photosphere is actually blocked by the moon during a solar eclipse. I repeat, all the light rays that were coming from the photosphere are actually blocked due to the solar eclipse, and as a result the red rim which is seen around the sun, it is due to the light rays which are emerging out from the chromosphere. And we can see that there is a very beautiful crown at the top with certain light streaks coming out from the plasma as well. Okay. So now moving forward to the planets, which are the 8 planets that are present in our solar system, and every planet has its own natural satellite, and all the natural satellites of each and every planet is known as a moon. It's not that it's only our moon, because it is the natural satellite of the earth, so every natural satellite is known as the moon. So all the natural satellites of all other planets are also known as the moons. Okay. Now moving to the solar system, very specifically getting our study to the solar system, if we see starting from the sun at the center in the particular order from the distance from the sun, as you can see I have already written this so that no amount of time is taken for writing it, and then so from the minimum distance from the sun, if we see the distances in the ascending order, the planets have been written here, that the nearest planet to the sun is Mercury, then comes Venus, then Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Now the most important thing is these sort of questions may be asked to you, that which is the nearest planet to the sun, or which is the farthest planet to the sun, or write the name of the planets in the order of in the ascending order of their distances from the sun. Then you have to write in this order. But if it is asked, write the name of the planets in the descending order of their distance from the sun, then you have to write it in the reverse order. And fill in the blank sort of questions or normal 1 mark questions based on this may be asked. So always ensure that you remember the order in which the planets are arranged in the solar system around the sun. That is, first comes Mercury, then Venus, then Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. You should know the order, okay? So always try to remember the order. Now the most important observation in the solar system is the asteroid belt. Okay, where is this asteroid belt present? This question may be asked, that where is the asteroid belt located, or what is the asteroid belt? Okay, so this question is very important. What is the asteroid belt? Where is the asteroid belt located? So now, just in between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter, you can see that there are certain rings of rocks present in space, and these rings of rocks which are present in space in between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter, they are known as this entire ring of these space rocks is known as the asteroid belt. Okay, so now just because it is present in between Mars and Jupiter, every planet which is lying between the sun and the asteroid belt are known as the inner planets, because it is lying in between the sun and the asteroid belt. So these are inner planets, and all the planets that are lying beyond the asteroid belt are the outer planets, because they are actually outer from the asteroid belt. So the planets which are lying just between the sun and the asteroid belt are the inner planets. So which are the inner planets? Name the inner planets. When it is asked, you just have to name Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. So these are the inner planets which are present between the sun and the asteroid belt. Now all the planets beyond the asteroid belt are the outer planets. So if it is asked, name the outer planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Now as you can see, I have written them in the ascending order of their distances. The more we move away from the sun, the less amount of heat will approach the planets. Like the earth is on an average well heated, but when you see Mercury is the hottest planet, because it is just so close to the sun that it is experiencing so much amount of heat from the sun. You will just boil off. There are so high temperatures in Mercury. But at the same way, when we study the outer planets, that is Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, it is observed that these outer planets are extremely icy cold gaseous planets. Why? Why are the outer planets icy cold? Give reason. You can note down each and every question that I am mentioning from time to time. Okay, what are the icy planets? Why are they known as icy planets? Give reason. Why are the outer planets known as icy planets? Because they are located far away from the sun, so they do not get the exposure to the amount of heat, to the huge amount of heat coming from the sun. So as the distance increases, the amount of heat that reaches them also decrease, and as a result they remain icy cold. So these planets, the outer planets, it is observed that they have a number of moons, that is, they have a large number of natural satellites, and these specific observation is the outer planets also have certain rings around them. Okay, so they look like having a ring around their structure. So for today we discussed till this much, that is how came the beginning of the universe, what is astronomy, what is Big Bang theory, what are galaxies, what are stars, that the fact that we are in the Milky Way, which is also a galaxy. Then what are constellations? There are 88 constellations known till date. I mentioned what are the most important constellations and the constellation names which you must remember. I had also written them down in your board. Then came what is the composition of all the stars, what is the composition of the sun, what are the 6 most important layers of the sun, what do we observe during a solar eclipse, and then we also talked about the solar system, and finally we discussed what are inner planets, outer planets, asteroid belt. So for this video, revise till this much, and in the next video we will be continuing with each and every minute details and the specific details of every single planet. Okay, so all the best to all of you. Thanks for watching. If you have still not subscribed, subscribe the channel for your benefit. Thank you.